Today on Down with Dedee, my mom will be having a conversation with Susan Bales Ford.
Susan, welcome to Down with Dedee. How are you, girl?
I'm good, girl. I'm glad to see you. It's been a couple months.
I know. Oh my God. First of all, can we just talk about the most important thing? What's the kitty's name in your lap? Oh,
This is Cricket.
Cricket. Oh my God, I love Cricket. Do you have two?
I have two. There's another one by the name of Minnie, who is not Minnie.
Oh, is Minnie many minis?
The vet would like her to weigh less, but the doctor says that about me too. So you know what?
Yeah, I know they're always getting on me about my cholesterol. I'm like, yeah. They just say to me when I go to, they're like, Dedee, so what is it? How much coffee do you drink a day? I'm like, that's none of your business. And he's like, excuse me.
It's better than liquor.
I know, I'm sober. What do you want? I said, dude, I'm sober. Don't ask that question. And he's like, I'm your doctor. I'm allowed to ask any question. I go, and it's like, this is my conversation with my doctor, right? It's like, can you imagine being my doctor? So Susan, first of all, when we met, I just adored you. I love your sense of humor. You're just such an amazing person. I'm always drawn to light and people who have a great sense of humor. And you and I, when we met at the 40th anniversary, when you guys invited me to be the keynote speaker, and I had to even look the word up, keynote speaker, because I didn't know what it meant. I had to ask my son, which was so one of the most amazing moments, probably definitely in my life, because I didn't even get sober at Betty Ford. And yet there I was being asked to be a keynote speaker in front of like 5,000 people. And I realized the magnitude of what we do in sobriety. That's what recovery looks like. That's it, right? And today you came on my show so we could talk about recovering out loud, because that was my big old speech, and that's how you found out about me to begin with, because I'm like loud and proud and sober. So
no, that's true, because think about all the people you saw in that room that night. There's not a template. They're all different. They all look different. They all recover sometimes a little bit different, and you know, we're all individuals. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, all the speakers that went up there had such a beautiful story of their recovery, their own personal journey. And I will say this, I'm going to be really honest, I knew very little about Betty Ford. I was born in 1964. So, and my father was I say high functioning alcoholic, but really, I really was a high functioning alcoholic. My dad functioned, but looking back, my whole keynote speech was about, it was a letter to my father and how he went to the light. He left his earth body with his disease, and my mother had mental illness. And the result of that was shock treatments. So of course he didn't ask for help. I mean, help back then looked different than it does now. But we still have that social stigma around the actual disease of addiction. And that's the tragedy. And I have to say, what I love what you're doing about carrying on your mom's legacy. And before we start, by the way, we're going to introduce you. It's not like people are going to have to figure out while they're driving their car, who the hell did you find you're talking to? And also the fact that, this is what blew me away when we were talking. I always find this really fascinating. You're a normie. You're not even like, you're like a normie is what I call, right? You're not even like an addict, and yet you're carrying on your mom's legacy. And I realized shortly when I was talking to a lot of people there at Betty Ford, I realized they're also normies, but they had a relationship with it, whether it was their mother in your case or other people, their fathers or whatever. Talk to me what that's like. How is it that Betty Ford has so many people working that are actually normies? Because that's beautiful.
Well, I mean, you got to remember that the people that were at the alumni weekend were family, patients, and family members are also patients, children from the children's program who grow up, and just because my mother drank and was a substance use disorder person didn't mean I was going to be. Her brother was. So her dad committed suicide when my mom was young, but he also, substance use disorder. So yeah, there is that genetic link. We can't ignore it. I guess I didn't get it. I mean, I have a glass of wine like once every 3 weeks.
I've gone to dinner with you. You don't even finish it. And of course, because I'm such a obsessive like addict, I'm listening to everything you're saying, but I'm also staring at the glass going, how can she sit there throughout the entire dinner and just sip that thing and still not even finish it? Like all my friends, we'd be like, oh, that's not the normal one. In our world, you're not normal. We chug that puppy and have the second one already, yeah.
I just don't, I don't have the need. I mean, as you know, because you have the disease and I don't, I always like the theory of your reaction to alcohol is like an allergy.
Yeah.
And you react to it differently than I do.
Yeah.
And, we're not all going to have it. My former husband was a substance use disorder person. And so I lived with it. I also have certain boundaries. I won't drink alone. I'm too afraid, I guess you would say, that, yeah, I mean, it's too close to home. I don't want to have to go through, I don't want my family to have to go through what I went through with my mom. And so I have boundaries about it. And one of them is I don't drink alone. Now, if there's a big celebration, there might be, but yeah.
No, yeah. No, I mean, everything you sound, the way you talk like a normie. Like I went to a function the other night. It was, I didn't realize it's so me. I didn't realize that it was, I read the email wrong and they said dress fancy. Now, Susan, you know me, you saw, I'm not that girl. Look right now. I slept in this shirt. Okay. This is why it looks so cool and kind of relaxed, because I slept in it. But I just go with it. You're not in here smelling me. It's all good. Which is probably why I'm single. Anyways, the thing is that, I go and I my version of fancy, I almost went to your event with leggings and basically what I wore to this other red carpet. But at the last minute, my not Shell, my older sister, my little sister was like, wear black. What are you wearing? And I'm like, why do you care what I wear? It's like a big AA meeting. And my sober coach, who's also my sponsor, said, have you written anything? I said, nah, I'm just going to kind of do like what you do at the AA meeting. Get up there and tell your story. And she's like, oh. And her response, that was all I heard was, oh, okay. And then I hung up and I went, oh God, am I missing something here? Thank God I wrote a letter to my father, which turned out to be I think that was my dad from the other side going, Dieter, this is really important. This is going to be a trajectory in your life. And I think you need to show up. You need to, so I wore all black, perfect, red lips. And I wrote a letter to my dad and kicked it out of the park. I feel in my heart. The other day I went to a red carpet and I wore a hoodie. And it was a zip. Hey, Susan, don't laugh. It had love written on the back side. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. But people had evening gowns. Okay. And I was mortified. The paparazzi hasn't seen me in like 13, 14, 15 years. And I went, there was a little voice said, this is why you drank. This is why you always drank. This is why you show up to these things already drinking to do that, because you just messed up on what you look like and you're nervous to begin with. So I went to the bathroom and I had a little conversation with myself. And I said, that is old thinking, friend. That is old thinking. You're not going to drink. Well, that's an option, D. Yeah, go get a drink. Okay, no, this is not a sober room. Okay, come on. But I said, wow, look at how activated I got. And look at how almost 5 years of work almost went out the door because I underdressed like crazy. I was scared. All the old dialogue about how I'm a piece of shit, that stuff, that addict stuff came back. And I said, wow, okay, that's not effective. What's the worst thing that happened? They're going to take your picture and you're going to get on the worst dress list. Again, it will be my second time. I'll make it a habit. Let's go do the red carpet. They went nuts. So anyways, those are going to be fun pictures.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with those little kids that sit on your shoulders and remind you of things and throw the red flags out and go, I have them. We all have them. We all have those little friends that sit on our shoulders.
Oh, girl, here's a real quick. I've never asked you this question, and I hope you don't mind me if it's out of nowhere, but I just thought of that. I often think about my kids and how when I was active in my disease versus now when I'm not. And night and day, right? you must have experienced almost two mothers with your mom, right? The before and after. And how did that affect you? Because I have boys, they don't talk to me, they don't say anything. All they say is, Mom, can we get Domino's? I mean, that's the conversation I get, right?
Well, the thing is, my mom got sober when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And I was pretty offended at first because the first year, and you probably experienced this too, all she talked about were her new friends, her new sober friends, her AA friends, and that's all she could talk about. And we're like, so what are we? I mean, we're your family. We were the ones that were there for you. We're the ones who went to family. We're the ones that learned about this disease. These are the ones who put up with you. And now but as you know, over time, that slows down and you become a little more normal. But the point is, you're never normal, girl.
I was going to say, you're in the wrong company, but you use that word.
I know. But I mean, in the sense of she didn't talk about those people all the time. She wasn't doing 90 meetings in 90 days and things like that. So things were getting better. But we really had to learn a new language, and we learned that in family because I was the parent in the relationship.
Wow.
And I covered for her. Talk about codependent. I raised my hand, girl. I was so codependent. Yeah. And I managed her life. I covered for her. I had to learn a new language. And so we had to take those tools that we learned in family and use them on ourselves, because she now wanted to be large and in charge of her life. And I'm going, excuse me, that's my job.
Yeah.
And so we danced around for a while, and that's okay. I think probably the reason I married my first husband was a year after that. I mean, I can go back and look at my history and I go, yeah, I know why you did that.
Yeah.
So
I'm so glad you brought that up. A lot of people and a lot of sadly in treatments don't even bring up IFS, internal family systems. Each person in a family, when somebody is ill, which is what somebody is when they're, have a substance use disorder, is the whole family becomes sick, and each member in the family takes on a very specific role. So when said person goes, gets well and comes back, it's true, I came back, started talking, 12-step talk and the whole thing. And my boys were like, they were happy for me. Don't get me wrong. Like, they were happy, but they were like, wow, she needs to stay in her own lane with all that. It was too much, too fast. I was told right away, stay in your own lane. Get out of the lane, stay in your own lane. It's a very common thing to do. It scares the shit out of everyone around you. But and yet they're happy for you. So it's a very complicated thing. And their role immediately gets redefined without them even knowing or asked if that's okay with them, or any healing happens on their side, which is what my rehab, thank God I went to, did work with the family. Thank God. But most don't. Betty Ford, you have this whole part of the treatment plan is the family, especially the children. Which I say, I did not know that until I started, I was asked to be the keynote speaker, and I discovered that, and I was like, well, I need to tell everybody about Betty Ford now. Because Breathe is a little teeny, like it's only 30 people. That's it. I mean, you guys are all around the world, and people have access to it. But and one of the reasons why I went to the golf charity fundraiser was to raise money for the children's part, because once again, insurance does not cover that. Again, my show is not about blaming or pointing fingers. That's just what it is. But we're hoping that the more we talk about it, bring light to it, people go, oh, well, that's a wrong that needs to be a right. And we'll let people that can move those mountains do that. But what I love is that you guys go, well, until you guys can figure that with the insurance, we're going to go raise money, because it's that important that the whole family heals. I love that.
And I mean, the thing is, Dedee, and you saw this, is we have kids who have gone through the children's program, and then they become college kids because the children's program has been around for a long time. And they start to see patterns of their parents that got treatment, and they go back and they call the people the children's program and go, oops, I think I'm going to get trouble. I'm so it's also a preventative.
Yeah.
And we have seen it work as a preventative for these young kids who went through the children's program because it's for 7 to 12-year-olds. Then they go off to college and they start to see patterns and they get nervous. And so, yeah, so it's really been wonderful in that sense. So it serves two purposes.
Yeah, I see. First of all, in this country, we do need to do more preventative. I mean, Canada's
Mhm.
talking about preventative. I know I'm not going to yell Canada in there, but we had to study Canada a lot in a lot of my UCLA classes, my psych classes, the differences between the way they approach healthcare and we do in other countries for that matter. And a big one is the P word, prevention. You've established a beautiful soft landing. It's a
Mhm.
soft landing. You're giving them a place to land, to come back that's safe and soft, where they can come back and say, oh, can I talk about this? I don't know what this means. And they go, yeah, good, and so I try to provide that for my sons. And when I realized I was all up in their lane. Doing that,
Well, and I mean, like I said, my mother had to recover her way. I had to recover my way. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And that's just the way it is. There's no magic wand yet.
yeah, you're right. And it's something you said something to me, I think it was yesterday when we were talking about other girly things. I won't say it out loud.
We're not going there.
No, but are you sure?
No.
Okay, I won't. Otherwise you're gonna get me back. You had said that you're always healing, and I thought, wow, God, man, she's so right. Yesterday, do you remember that?
Yeah, I am. I am. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody this morning and I went down this rabbit hole and I mean, the tears just flowed. And I'm like, that's been like 15 years ago. Why is this still going on? So yeah, I'm always healing.
Susan, this leads actually, okay, I love it. I'm glad that you brought that up because I have been very odd, more odd than normal when it comes to my emotions. And I'll be walking the dog on my dirt road and I get this flood of emotion and be like, I just feel like I could start crying. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? It's almost like a drive-by. Now I think to myself, my friend goes, well, that's the retro. I don't know. There's all this space stuff that goes hand in hand with paranormal. Susan, go there with me, girl. Let's talk paranormal. Do you believe in the paranormal, yes or no? And do you think anything you're going through has anything to do with the universe? That if you want to talk about the Egyptians, they were all about, astronomy, astrology, and moon. And oh God, you're giving me that look like I'm not going to.
I guess I'm on the fence a little bit.
Okay, talk about it.
So yes, I believe in spirits. Do I feel my mother is with me at different times? Absolutely. Same with my father. No discussion. If you are considering UFOs paranormal, I don't know.
You're not going with the little green men or the grays or the.
No, I'm not. I like ET and I want to keep ET just the way he is.
That's fair. Well, what if you find out, okay, let's say one landed in your backyard, okay? And he came out and he was really cute and you say, Susan.
I take him in just like I take my cats in.
I was gonna say, girl, you take him in and give him some funky name and then give him some cat food and he'd probably throw up. And then you call me and say, damn it, Dedee, which is my mom used to say, God damn it, Dedee, and be like, there's a green alien in my kitchen eating cat food. Are you happy? And I'll be like, yeah, I am.
And I'll send you a text about it.
Well, yeah, and do a picture because one thing I talked about the other day on another one of my podcasts is that the government's talking about they're giving money into it and all that stuff into investigating UAPs, UFOs, and UOSs and or USO. Anyways, I get all those numbers, the letters.
Yeah.
The ones that go in the sea, the ones that come from the sky, the ones that disappear from your, all that. And they say that it's a national security and we should be scared. Basically, they're telling you to be scared. And my issue with that is only movies have ever told us to be scared of things that we don't know about. Or your parents said, be scared of the boogeyman, right? So things around us that have never been our own experience has said, be scared of these things that are mysterious or different. And to me, I kind of view the neighbors upstairs. That's what I call them, by the way. Neighbors upstairs, the little green men that you're going to be feeding cat food to are the neighbors upstairs. And the way I feel it, if they are here, and they are a real thing. I think they're coming down to their nasty neighbors downstairs saying, what the hell are you doing to your own planet and nukes? Just stop it. Because wouldn't you, if your neighbor was throwing firecrackers into your fucking backyard with your cats, wouldn't you go over there and go, what are you doing? Knock it off. That's what I think is going on.
Okay. Okay. I'll send you a text when they arrive.
Okay. You know, I'm going to have you go paranormal hunting with me one day.
Okay.
Are you scared?
No.
Okay, that's good. They say if you're scared.
Now, if we have to deal with heights, then that's a little different.
I think you did say something about the short grays. You're going to have an issue with maybe the tall Nordic or the reptilian who are really tall. You'd be okay with, as long as they're tall.
Right.
You ain't doing short.
No.
You know, I remember we talked about something like that.
We're not going there.
Okay, we won't. Okay, then let's talk about something that's near and dear to me. This is my spirit animal. When we came on, you're like, what's the line? I'm a Capricorn, so it should be a goat. But when I went into rehab, I think I told you, every time I closed my eyes and they tried to get this crazy to meditate, and I was like, oh no, mama, don't do I can't sit. I'm not interested in that. They're like, it's not a matter if you're interested, Dedee. It's part of your treatment. I'm like, it's never going to happen, people. Look at me. I'm sticking to the ceiling. Just let me run around the block 5 times, and that's my meditation. So long story short, I had to shut up and sit there and try to meditate. And my monkey mind, that was challenging. When it finally did calm down enough was because this big bad guy came soaring into it was all black in my head. And this big lion came right into mine, because my eyes were closed, and he was so big and beautiful, and I was awestruck, and I calmed down, and I thought, well, what the hell is that about? And I was like, hi there, big guy, and he just kind of was still staring at me. It was just a head. And then I opened my eyes and looked around like, is anyone else? Wow. And then I closed my eyes again. It kept happening every time I tried to meditate. And I realized, oh my God, he's calming me down. So I asked another person, what's up? This lion keeps coming. They're like, dude, that's your spirit animal. I said, okay, that works. Bam, there it is. My co-star.
He's really cute.
He's very handsome. I swear. Dean Snyder, Dean Snyder's that really hot guy. I'll send you. Got the white bleached hair and the black OT. He's Swedish, but he works in Africa, and he rolls around with these big bad boys. That is sexy. Okay, I'm sorry. And I bet you he's tall. Anyway, so, okay. If you could be reincarnated as any animals, what would it be?
I'd be a wild horse.
Not a cat?
No.
A wild horse. Oh, why?
Freedom.
Freedom from what?
And I've had horses, and I truly was never more at peace with myself than when I was riding out in pastures and running through fields. And I'm very connected. It's just a connection thing, because I am a Cancer. So, I'm headed to the beach soon for a week, and I cannot wait to get my toes in the sand and just sit.
And be a Cancer. Now,
yep.
It's interesting that you said freedom. Can I ask freedom from what?
Oh, all the bad things in the world that we don't like, opinions, judgment.
The world, the noise.
Actually, yeah, the noise. And when you're riding a horse out in the woods or in fields, the noise you hear is the trees and the grass and the birds and things like that.
That's beautiful. Do you know that I'm going to loop this around. My rehab used equine therapy for our recovery. And you're right. When you're around a horse, they pick up on your energy, right?
They do.
A bunch of us there, all just kind of a mess. There's a bunch of us, 30. and one of you's out of whack, those horses start responding, and then you have to really check your energy. So it's a mutual like thing, you know. So the equine therapy was magical. It was, and it's funny. I did it. Oh, I'm gonna wrap my sister up. I don't care. So I also did have the equine therapy with family, which is my two sisters. They were the only ones that came because my brother was scared. Well, he thought the family therapy thing was sitting and blaming the person with me. And he said, I'm not beating up on her. And they kept saying it's not, the treatment is not to beat up on her. Nobody would survive that. She's already beaten up on herself. Nobody beats up on themselves more than the person that's active in their disease, because they know that they're leaving a lot of ugly shit, right? So they have a lot of pain. We don't want you to add to that. We actually want to try to create some kind of level of harmony again. So, but he didn't do it. My two sisters, who were like, yeah, I'll go. And my little sister Lori went, and it's funny because they thought it was going to be me around the horse. And Michelle she's a Taurus, so she can control everything in her spirit and mind and energy. So she was super calm. And Lori, my little sister, was super afraid. So the horse was flipping out around her, not me. So in that moment, it turned out to be about her connecting with the horse. And when she did, I started crying. When I did, I saw her lean into that fear, and the horse go, it's okay. But it's a funny thing. It's a simple thing, equine therapy, and it's sad we don't use it more often. Do you have horses where you are now, or just cats?
The Betty Ford Center has had equine therapy off and on, and part of it's logistics more than anything. So yeah, but I am a true believer in equine therapy. And I think probably having my horses when I lived in New Mexico was just a really healing, I just had a lot of freedom there. And so, yeah, no, I'm on board.
Do you have a horse now, or do you just put a saddle on your cats and ride them around the kitchen?
Yeah, right. No, I left my horses with friends when I left New Mexico, because I went back to Oklahoma, and there just wasn't, my parents were dying. And so I didn't have time for extracurricular activities because horses take an incredible amount of time. So, I mean, it's fine in Texas. It's already hot. So no,
You're like,
and my cats work with my lifestyle. I travel, as you well know, because you and I see each other in all these places. And so they're a lot easier. I will probably have a dog again at some point, but it doesn't fit my lifestyle right now.
oh, honey, I have two. Do you want one?
No, thanks. No. And I don't need the hair in my house.
You don't even know what's going on in our hair down below here. I got hair everywhere. You said you have white, you're wearing black, and you have white. Yeah.
I have white jeans on, and I'm going to have to go use the lip roller before I go to lunch.
Yeah, I wear black, and I have a big white hairy Great Pyrenees that I grabbed from Mexico on the way back, because normally you get like a refrigerator magnet. I grab animals because that's just what doesn't everyone just grab a huge 100-pound dog on the way out.
Right.
Now, Susan, I'm going to see you again, because even though you guys invited me to your golf charity fundraiser, and I told you my handicap was if I was able to hit the ball at all, you guys still had me go. Thank you. So, because we had to move along. It was super fun. I said, dude, I bowl. Let's do another charity fundraiser in LA. Let's bring everybody, whether you got, sober at Betty Ford or not, and let's bowl, because then I'm going to show you how I can do it.
So what's your score, girl?
I never keep score. I just, if I hit the pins down, it's a good day. Honey, I don't get all into minutia like that. Would be my sister Michelle. She'd be like, it's 450 with a handicap of IQ of, I don't even know what any of that stuff means, and I really don't care. I'm playing pickleball with my sisters, so they're insane about trying to figure out the scoring. I'm like, why are you starting off with 2? They haven't even hit the ball. And he's like, just go with it. I'm like, Michelle and Lori are like, just go with it. I'm like, I don't understand. Dedee, just hit the ball. So you're right. You told me it was fun. It is a blast. What a
blast.
Silly. First of all, pickleball. How can you not have fun? at a game that has the word pickle in it. I love pickles.
Well, and you do realize that it's named after a dog. The guy who invented it named it after his dog named Pickle.
I did not know that. I kept thinking, well, the paddle doesn't look like a pickle. The balls don't look like, I guess they look like the little dill ball seeds in the dill. I'm like, wow. And I never asked the question, which I will ask, because I'm too busy fighting with them about how they score. The scoring was invented by somebody totally high on something, because it makes no sense. And this is where I want to wrap this up to say, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart, what you are doing with your mom's legacy and keeping that foundation, Betty Ford, alive and available to people. And my job is going to be to make it easier for them to go to your clinics around the world, and just say, hey, I need help, and have that be like when you go to a doctor and ask, hey, I broke my leg, can you help me out? It needs to be like that, right? And so,
well, I mean, you are a prime example of somebody who is recovered, and it never stops, and you know that. And so, the more people we can get to talk about it, the more stigma we will lose about the disease. And the stigma is what kills it.
And the shame, because
Shame.
the stigma creates shame. And I was kneecapped by shame. To this day, if I'm not careful, the shame can squeak back. And I have to stop and go, hold on. No. It's that bad. And that can be a relapse if you don't know what prelapse signs look like. So this is why I designed Down with Dedee. And you are the reason. You're like, guests like you are. It's all about having you on my show to say, look, we're talking about it, and look at the beautiful woman that's, behind all of that. And she's on your team,
She's right there.
Yep, that's right. Well, it started with mom. Okay, well, here's the part where I try not to cry and say goodbye, because I'm just beyond grateful having you on my show and helping me recover out loud and to help others and chisel down that social stigma.
I will, sweetheart. You and I together make a pretty cool team.
That's right, baby. We're going to have you on again for part 2. And what is it you want to come back and talk about? Do you want to tease anybody?
No.
Just you not saying that. If I was listening to this, I'd go, oh, wait, she's hiding. Look at that smile. You look like the cat with the little, what's the thing, the mouse tail out of its mouth? Okay. All right, honey. Well, thank you for coming on my show. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye, kitties.
For more information on today's guest, check out the show notes below or visit our website at www.downwithdedee.com.